Hi, my name is Nicole Grabow. I'm an objects conservator working for the Midwest Art Conservation Center. We're based in Minneapolis, and we're a regional center for conservation. I'm here at ATALM 2016 to talk about cleaning baskets. This is a conservation technique for cleaning baskets that I'm going to demo for you guys, and it was part of a session that I gave yesterday. So the first question that I ask myself when I go to clean a basket is the cleaning really necessary? As a conservator, I strive to make my treatments as reversible as possible in case someone in the future finds a better way of doing things. But that said, there are some conservation treatments that I do that are irreversible, and the most common example of that is cleaning. I can't put the dirt back on after I've taken it off. So I want to make sure that I'm not removing anything that's important to the object and the story that it has to tell. And particularly if it's an ethnographic material, it may contain traces of food residue or something else that may tell something about the people who created it that might be important to remain. And if that's the case, then I'll either do very limited cleaning or I may choose not to clean it at all. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to assume that this basket is ready to clean and that the material on it is just your standard museum dust. And that's usually just fine to take off. I also want to make sure before I clean it that I can recognize the original surface and that my cleaning technique is not going to harm the original surface in any way. It's not going to remove pigments or dyes, and it's not going to abrade the plant fibers to the point that it causes damage. And sometimes you can tell this simply by the condition of the basket itself when you first examine it. Sometimes you might need to do a little spot cleaning test in maybe on the back or on the bottom in an area that's not very obtrusive to determine that it can withstand the mechanical action of cleaning. But so for the purpose of this demo, this basket is stable and strong and can withstand cleaning. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to begin with the first step to the cleaning, which is brush vacuuming. Now, I don't have a vacuum with me here today, so you're just going to have to imagine the vacuum. It does help out a lot with pulling some of the dust and dirt away. But I'll use a variety of different brushes. For my cleaning brushes, generally, I don't spend a lot of money because I go through cleaning brushes pretty quickly. They get dirty pretty fast. I like to have a few different shapes and sizes, a few different stiffnesses. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a stiffer brush for cleaning, but not so stiff that it's going to damage your plant fibers. I will usually use, when I'm handling basketry materials, I'll usually wear a glove on the hand that's handling the object, but not on the hand that's handling the brush. And the reason for wearing gloves is just to prevent oils from your fingers from penetrating into the basket materials. Baskets are a little bit more resilient to that than other materials, so it's also fine to do this work with clean, dry hands without any lotion or anything on your hands. And I use a little magnification aid for close vision. These are just cheaters that you can get at the grocery store. And these just improve my near vision a little bit. And what I might do, I might kind of start with a plan before I begin. I might decide that I'm going to go from the top down or from left to right. Sometimes I'll start with the dirtiest areas first. And what I want to do is I kind of want to bring it all up to the same level. And I never want to clean a basket completely because the materials that I'm working with tend to be older and they have a history of use that is appropriate to show. Also, it can damage the fibers to clean them so aggressively that every speck of dirt comes off. So we want to kind of manage our expectations and determine what level of cleaning we're going to use, and then decide where you're going to start. And start with kind of a gentle brushing and flicking motion. Now, if I had the vacuum with me, I would be holding it with my right hand, and I would be brushing the dust into the nozzle of the vacuum. It's important to stabilize your basket while you're doing this, and to get as much of the dirt and dust as you can. Now you'll find that the inside and the outside surfaces are probably quite different, and you might have different levels of soiling on the inside and outside. On this particular material, this is the inside, which is a lot sort of more matte. The exterior surface is quite a bit shinier. And you can just kind of flick that dust away, moving across the surface so that all the area is covered. Now this is often enough, this brush vacuuming step. Sometimes when you've gone over your basket, and that's great, and you don't need to go any farther. But for those times when you do need to go farther, it may be appropriate to introduce a little bit of moisture to help your cleaning. What I use is distilled or deionized water, which I've got right here in this little ramekin. And I don't want to get the basket too wet, so I'm going to apply the moisture in a very controlled way. I like to roll my own swabs. You can use Q-tips that you buy from the store, but they're more expensive and they're a little too squishy for me. So I use a bamboo skewer, which you can get at the grocery store for shish kebabs. They come in all different lengths. This is the short ones are nice for this kind of cleaning. And then I use loose cotton. And if you're just starting to roll your own swabs for the first time, you might feel a little clumsy at it at first, but know that after about 10 swabs, you're gonna get the hang of it. So don't worry if it feels a little clumsy. I'll just pull off a little bit of the cotton with the pointy tip and then wrap it around to create a swab. This one's kind of small. You can always add to them, make them a little bit bigger. And then once I've got the cotton on the end of my stick, I'm gonna dip it in my water. Now, you don't want too much water. You don't want it so wet that it's glistening. So if you look at the tip of your swab and you find that it's really glistening with moisture, maybe roll it on your work area surface and get some of that excess moisture off. You just want it damp. You don't want it saturated. And then when you go across your basket, begin with a rolling motion, which is very gentle. You may find that this isn't enough, but start this way. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it'll pick up quite a bit. But if you need a little bit more, then you can gently rub it a little bit. Always looking carefully at your basket to make sure you're not cleaning too far, that you're not removing anything that you don't want to remove. And you'll notice as you work that your swabs become quite dirty. You can just pull them off the end, put them in a little pile, and get a clean one. You want to change your swabs out pretty regularly. You don't want to be rubbing that dirt around. And then again, on the inside, this might look a little bit different. Sometimes the dirt will become saturated when it's wet and look darker, but usually it'll dry light again. And sometimes it makes it easier to see how well you've cleaned it. Another method that we can use, which is kind of in between the brush vacuuming and the swab, is to use a cosmetic sponge. These are latex-free cosmetic sponges that contain no oils or makeup. You can get them at the drugstore, but don't get the ones that have makeup in them. Make sure that they're latex-free and no oil or makeup in them. And you can use these dry, rubbing across the surface. Be careful with your weave structure. Make sure that you're not manipulating your basket in a way that's going to be stressful. And you can see that this will bring up a lot of extra dirt. You can do this on either side. You can also dip this in your water, squeeze it out a little bit, and use it wet if you like. So this is another method. You can kind of work over a larger area than with the swab. It doesn't get in the crevices quite as well, but you can find ways. You can cut this, you can sort of work at it like this, get creative with it, and find ways to get in all those crevices and corners. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.